Something changed in the arena the moment Ilia Malinin stepped onto the ice. Not the temperature, not the lighting, something harder to define than that. The kind of shift you feel before you can explain it. People in the upper rows were still finding their seats. A few cameras were repositioning along the boards. The announcer had just finished saying his name. But down near the judging panel, something was already different. Two officials who had been reviewing their scoring sheets a moment earlier had both looked up at the same time. Not because anything dramatic had happened yet, because nothing had happened yet, and somehow that itself felt unusual. Malinin was standing near the center of the rink, not skating, just standing, his arms relaxed at his sides, his blades resting flat against the ice. Athletes sometimes do this before a program begins. A reset, a breath. A final internal check before the music takes over, but the way he was standing looked different from his usual pre-programmed stillness. There was a quality to it that experienced observers of this sport would struggle to put into words. He looked like someone who already knew what was about to happen, and he was simply waiting for everyone else to catch up. The crowd had not yet gone fully quiet. You could still hear the ambient noise of a large arena settling in, jackets rustling. A child asking a question somewhere in the upper section. The low electrical hum of the scoreboard above the rink, normal sounds, the sounds of before, and then the music started. A single low note stretched across the speakers, not sharp, not cinematic, just a tone that seemed to fill the space slowly the way water fills a container. The arena responded without anyone deciding to respond. The noise dropped. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. People who had been distracted turned toward the ice. And Malinin began to move. He pushed off gently at first, one long glide toward the far end of the rink. His upper body remained almost perfectly still while his legs worked underneath him. That stillness in the upper body is one of the first things coaches notice in elite skaters. It suggests control. It suggests that the power being generated is contained and directed rather than scattered. Malinin had always had that quality. But watching him move in those opening seconds, something felt sharpened about it, more deliberate, like every detail had been reconsidered. 10 seconds passed, then 15. He had not accelerated toward a jump yet, for a skater with his reputation that was already unusual. Fans who had followed his career knew what his normal opening looked like: speed, aggression, a launch into a difficult element before the audience had time to fully settle. His identity in the sport had been built on that pattern, on the idea that he would go after the hardest jumps immediately and keep going after them throughout the program. So when the first 15 seconds produced nothing but a long, quiet glide across the ice, a small wave of curiosity began to move through the stands. Someone near the judges' panel leaned toward the person beside them and said something quietly. The other person nodded without looking away from the ice. Along the boards, a coach from a different national team had crossed his arms and narrowed his eyes slightly. Not concern, recognition, the kind of focused attention that comes when you realize a familiar competitor is doing something you have not prepared for. Malinin curved toward the near end of the rink. His speed increased gradually. The blades made a sharper sound against the ice now, crisper, more intentional. He swept into a wide arc that carried him toward the center of the arena, and as he crossed the midpoint of the rink, his posture changed, almost imperceptibly. His shoulders settled slightly lower, his knees bent just a fraction deeper. To a casual viewer, it looked like nothing. To anyone who had studied the mechanics of elite figure skating, it looked like a beginning. He was preparing for the first jump, but the entry path looked wrong. Not wrong in the sense of a mistake. Wrong in the sense that it did not match what people expected. The angle was too direct, the approach too compressed. Experienced viewers in the stands began doing the same quiet calculations simultaneously. If this entry meant what it appeared to mean, then the jump he was setting up for was not the one most people had predicted. It was something else. Something that carried a different level of difficulty. Something that would explain why two judges had already looked up from their sheets before a single element had been attempted. Malinin bent his knees, his arms pulled inward, then he left the ice. The takeoff was so clean that for a fraction of a second the crowd did not fully register what had happened. His body was already in the air, rotating before most people in the arena had processed the launch. The rotation was fast. Impossibly fast by the standards of what the human eye is naturally built to track. His arms stayed locked close to his body. his legs aligned tightly through each revolution. The lights above the rink caught the blade on his free foot as he spun and sent a brief reflection across the ice below. Then he came down. The blade hit the surface with a sharp, precise sound that echoed clearly across the arena. A small spray of frost lifted from the point of contact. He held the landing completely. His weight balanced over the blade, his free leg extending behind him into a controlled line. For exactly 1 second the arena did not react. That 1 second of silence is something that happens only when a crowd is trying to process what it just witnessed. Not boredom, not confusion, processing. Then the applause came. It started in the sections closest to the ice where the viewers most familiar with the technical demands of the sport were sitting. Then it spread upward and outward through the arena the way sound travels in a large enclosed space, growing louder as more people understood what they had just seen. Because that opening element had not been a warm-up jump. It had not been a moderately difficult entry point designed to settle into the program gradually. It had been one of the highest difficulty elements in the modern sport, placed deliberately in the first minute of a routine that was clearly not finished making its demands known. Malinin did not react to the applause. He did not look toward the crowd. He did not raise a hand or allow even a small smile to break through his focus. He simply continued skating. That absence of reaction is something people always notice about him. It is not coldness. It is closer to the kind of concentration that has no space in it for interruption. He moved directly into the choreographic section that followed the jump. His blades traced a tight step sequence across the ice. Quick edge changes, precise footwork, turns that happened fast enough that the judges watching from the panel leaned slightly closer to track the details. Step sequences in figure skating are often the section of a program that casual viewers wait through on their way to the next jump, but judges evaluate them carefully. The quality of the edges, the complexity of the turns, the way the footwork connects with the rhythm of the music, and this step sequence was not filler, it was dense, intricate. The kind of sequence that communicates that the skater and the choreographer had thought carefully about every second of the program, not just the high-value moments, all of it. One official on the judging panel made a quick note on the scoring sheet. Another glanced briefly at the replay monitor along the boards before returning attention to the live performance. The technical complexity of what they were watching was already unusual, and the program had not yet reached its midpoint. Malinin exited the step sequence with barely a pause and accelerated again toward the far end of the rink. His speed built quickly through a series of crossovers, each one deeper than the last. The sound of the blades changed as he gained momentum, sharper, more aggressive. The music had shifted slightly too. The low cinematic tone from the opening had developed into something with more pulse, more forward motion, as if the program itself was escalating in a way that had been planned from the first note. He swept into the entry for the next jump, longer approach this time, wider arc. The preparation stretched across almost the full width of the rink, and everyone watching could see that this was not the same entry line as the first element. This was bigger, more committed. His body compressed into the takeoff and he launched upward with noticeably more height than the previous jump. His body rose higher above the ice, giving him more space and more time to complete the rotations. And he used all of it. The landing was clean, not perfect. The blade traveled a few inches farther across the ice than ideal before finding its balance. A micro-adjustment through the hip, a slight repositioning of the free leg, but it held, and the arena erupted again, louder this time because people were starting to understand the pattern. This was not a program that would give them one extraordinary moment and then settle into safety. This was a program that had been constructed to keep escalating. To keep introducing difficulty at a rate that most competitors would never attempt. Near the boards, a group of coaches from different national teams had gathered without anyone planning to gather. They were standing close together watching the ice. A few had crossed their arms. One had his hands in his pockets and was staring at the rink with the focused expression of someone who is mentally taking notes. Because what Malinin was doing on the ice was not just technically impressive in isolation. It was structurally unusual. He had placed multiple extremely high difficulty elements in the early and middle sections of the program. That was not the traditional approach. Conventional program construction pushes the most valuable elements toward the later sections where the scoring system provides bonus points. It is strategic and sensible, and almost every serious competitor follows that logic. Malinin appeared to have made a different decision entirely. He was not saving his most difficult elements for the end. He was distributing them throughout the program in positions where the audience and the judges would not naturally expect them. That approach carried enormous risk. The scoring opportunity was real, but if fatigue caused even a single major error near the end of the program, the entire routine could collapse. And fatigue was inevitable. By this stage in a program with this density of high rotation jumps, the body had already absorbed significant impact. Each landing sends force upward through the blade into the ankle and knee and spine. By jump 3 or 4, those forces accumulate. Athletes feel it even when they do not show it, and Malinin was already past that point. You could see it in the rhythm of his breathing if you watched his shoulders carefully. A slightly deeper movement than at the start of the program. Normal. Expected for this level of physical demand, but notable because the program was still demanding more from him. He pushed off into the choreographic section that followed the second major jump. His arms extended into the music. His blades traced a wide sweeping edge across the ice. The audience that had been leaning forward in their seats settled slightly as the intensity of the technical elements gave way briefly to the expressive qualities of the performance. But briefly was the correct word. Because as anyone watching could sense, the music was building again. The pulse underneath the melody was getting heavier. The tempo was tightening, and Malinin was accelerating again toward the far corner of the rink. His crossovers were longer now, more powerful. The blades dug deeper into the ice with each stroke, and you could hear the difference from the earlier sections of the program. This was not maintenance speed. This was the kind of acceleration that precedes a commitment. One judge set down their pen and watched. Another official leaned forward in their chair. Along the boards, the gathered coaches had gone quiet. Malinin entered the approach for the next element. His shoulders dropped, his knees bent. The entry curve was deeper than anything he had attempted earlier in the program. Longer, more deliberate. Every detail of the setup communicated that what was coming would not be smaller than what had come before. It would be larger. And as he aligned his body into the final position before the takeoff, the arena went very still in the way that arenas only go still when thousands of people simultaneously realize they are about to witness something rare. He launched. The height was immediately different. His body rose above the ice in a way that created a visible gap between the blade and the surface before the rotation even began. That height matters. It is what gives a skater the time to complete the rotations cleanly. Without it, the physics of the jump become unforgiving. With it, the jump becomes possible. Malinin had it. His arms pulled inward instantly and his body snapped into the tight, compact position that elite skaters train for years to achieve. The rotation was fast. The kind of fast that makes experienced commentators pause because the human eye genuinely struggles to track it in real time without mechanical assistance. 1 rotation, 2, 3, 4. The blade met the ice. For a fraction of a second, it looked as though the edge might not hold. The landing traveled slightly across the surface. A small correction through the lower body, almost invisible to most of the crowd, but it held. And the sound that came from the arena in the moment after that landing was different from everything that had come before it. Not just applause, something louder and less organized than that. The kind of collective reaction that happens when a crowd releases the breath it has been holding without realizing it was holding it at all. Malinin skated forward without pausing. Along the judges' table, the reactions were quiet but visible. One official leaned toward the technical controller and spoke in a low voice. Another reviewed the element sequence on the monitor beside them. Not because anything had gone wrong, because they were confirming what they had just seen. Because the structure of the routine was now fully clear, and that structure was extraordinary. Multiple extremely high-difficulty elements placed at intervals throughout the program in positions that defied the conventional logic of competitive figure skating. No safe plateau, no comfortable middle section designed to allow recovery before a climactic ending. Just a continuous chain of demanding elements connected by choreography that maintain the musical integrity of the performance throughout. That is extraordinarily difficult to execute, not just physically, mentally. To skate a program with that structure under competition conditions requires the athlete to manage their physical resources with a precision that leaves almost no margin for error. One mistimed element, one landing absorbed slightly wrong, One moment where the body falls behind the rhythm it needs to maintain and the entire program can unravel. Malinin had built a routine that was not just impressive in its individual elements. It was impressive in its architecture, in the decision to attempt this structure in competition. He moved into the final section of the program. His breathing was noticeably heavier now. His shoulders moved with each breath in a way that had not been visible at the start. The accumulated impact of the landings was working on him the way it works on every athlete, but his posture held. His upper body stayed quiet. His blades continued to carve clean lines across the ice, and the crowd that had been reacting loudly to each major element had grown strangely focused again, because the pattern of the program had taught them something. It had taught them not to assume the hardest moment had passed. Every section of this program had been capable of introducing something unexpected, and the final section was still unfolding. Malinin curved toward the center of the rink one more time. His speed built steadily through the crossovers. His body lowered into the familiar compression that preceded his biggest moments. The music surged, his arms pulled inward. And as he left the ice for the final major jump of the program, the entire arena held that same collective stillness that had preceded the earlier extraordinary moments. The rotation was fast, the height was there. The landing came with a sharp, clean sound that cut through the silence it held. The arena came apart. The applause was not a wave this time. It arrived all at once from every section of the building simultaneously. The kind of reaction that does not build from one section to the next, but simply appears everywhere at the same moment because everyone in the building registered the same thing at the same time. Malinin skated into the final choreographic sequence of the program, his arms extended. His edges traced the last long curve of the routine. The music slowed toward its final notes. And when it ended, he came to a stop in the center of the ice. He stood still for a moment. The same stillness from before the program began, but different now, not waiting, finished. The crowd was still making noise. Flowers were already appearing on the ice from the front rows. Malinin looked toward the judges' panel briefly, not a glance this time, a full look. The kind that acknowledged that the people sitting at that table had just witnessed something alongside everyone else in the building. Along the judges' panel, the officials were reviewing their monitors, confirming element calls, discussing rotation counts. The technical process of scoring was already underway, but the human reactions were visible beneath the professional process. The slightly raised eyebrows, the quiet words exchanged between officials who had seen hundreds of competitions and were now encountering something that would take more than a few minutes to fully absorb. Because what had just happened on that ice was not simply a strong competitive performance. It was not just a high score waiting to be announced. It was the kind of performance that changes the reference point. That makes coaches go back to their programs with new questions. That makes other skaters reconsider what is possible and what is mandatory if they intend to compete at this level going forward. That makes officials who write the rules of the sport sit quietly with their scoring sheets for a long moment before writing anything down. Malinin had not just skated a difficult routine in Milan. He had shown an entire sport what a program could look like when someone decides that the conventional boundaries of difficulty are not the actual boundaries. When someone decides to find out what happens when you push past the architecture that most competitors accept as the ceiling and keep going. When someone decides that the most dangerous thing you can attempt in competition is the thing no one around you has fully prepared to see, and the entire arena had just seen it, the judges included.